Imagine a man who couldn't get a job at the local police department. Rejected. Imagine a man who applied to Harvard 10 times and was denied every single time. Imagine a man who, along with 24 other applicants, went for a job at the newly opened KFC in his city and was the only one turned away. 24 hired, 1 rejected. That one was him. This is not the setup for a joke. This is the truth of the man who built a company once valued at nearly $1 trillion. His name is Ma Yun, known to the world as Jack Ma, and his story is the definitive answer to the question, can a spectacular, persistent failure, a man with no technical skills, no capital, and no connections, change the world? The answer is a resounding yes. But his journey wasn't a steady climb. It was a brutal, humbling, and utterly bizarre series of rejections that eventually forged one of the most resilient minds in global commerce. Our story begins in Hangzhou, China, in the late 1970s. Young Ma Yun was skinny, small, and academically weak. He failed his university entrance exam 3 times. He was a slow student, but he possessed one burning passion, the English language. Every morning for 9 years straight, he would ride his rickety bicycle for 45 minutes to the International Hotel. He went to offer free tours to foreign tourists, trading conversation for language practice. He taught himself English, and in return, the tourists taught him about the world beyond communist China, about idealism, free enterprise, and dreams. It was one of these tourists who gave him the nickname Jack. This persistence, this willingness to show up every day for a decade just to learn, was the first sign of a leader in the making. Still, even with English, the world kept slamming doors in his face. The legendary rejections. The year is 1999. The place is Jack Ma's humble apartment in Hangzhou. The atmosphere is electric, fueled by cheap food and relentless optimism. Jack had gathered 17 friends and former students. These were the 18 arhats, a Buddhist term for disciples. The founding team of a company that would change the face of global commerce. Most were teachers, all were poor, and none were tech experts. Jack Ma was standing on a coffee table, sweat dripping, pitching a vision so audacious it sounded insane. He told them they were going to build an e-commerce platform that would empower small businesses, the very people overlooked by the big state corporations. "We must make it easy to do business anywhere," he declared. The name? Alibaba. A name, he explained, that was universal, easy to pronounce in any language, and instantly recognizable thanks to the story of Alibaba and the 40 Thieves. A name that meant open sesame to treasure. The mission was simple, but the execution would be brutal. The 18 arhats pooled their resources, raising the initial startup capital of $60,000. They operated on a shoestring budget, famously running around in worn-out clothing. They endured the early 2000s dot-com bust, nearly going broke in 2001. Their persistence, however, convinced major international investors like Goldman Sachs and SoftBank to inject millions. But Jack Ma knew capital wasn't the biggest challenge. The biggest challenge was the one that kills all new economies: trust. In the early 2000s, Chinese consumers did not trust strangers online. If you paid for a product, what guarantee did you have that the seller would actually ship it? And if the seller shipped it, what guarantee did they have that the buyer wouldn't just take the goods and refuse to pay? This lack of trust was a chasm. Jack Ma needed a bridge. His ingenious solution was born in 2003 during a fierce existential battle with a global giant. That year, eBay, the American e-commerce titan, entered the Chinese market with enormous cash reserves and global prestige. Local media instantly wrote Alibaba's obituary. Jack Ma's counterattack was brutal and brilliant. He launched a new consumer platform called Taobao, or Treasure Hunt. The first masterstroke, he made Taobao free for all small sellers, directly undercutting eBay's fee-based model. But the real game changer was born out of desperation: Alipay. Alipay was an escrow service. When a buyer purchased an item, the money didn't go to the seller, it went to Alipay, which held it securely. Only after the buyer received the package, inspected it, and confirmed satisfaction did Alipay release the funds to the seller. Alipay built the fundamental trust layer that had been missing in Chinese e-commerce. It was a lifeline for both buyers and sellers, an innovation that could only have come from a leader who understood the unique anxieties of his own people. Within 2 years, Taobao, powered by the free market model and the trust of Alipay, drove eBay completely out of the Chinese market. Jack Ma had defeated the global giant on his home turf, not with technology, but with a profound understanding of human nature. The victory over eBay was not the end, it was the start of an empire. Alibaba used the momentum of Taobao to build